5 guests want to share 1 1/4 pecan pies left from the party. How much pie should each guest get? Before we do the math for this problem, let's look at some actual pecan pie. We're going to see if we can solve the problem just by using a knife. So here we have 1 whole pecan pie, and we have a quarter of another one. We have 1 1/4 pecan pies. The 5 plates that we have here represent our 5 guests. I want to cut up my whole pie so that I can give each guest the same amount of pie. Let's see, if I cut this pie in half, I'll get 2 large pieces. But if I cut it again, I can cut it into quarters. I'll have 4 quarters from the whole pie, plus 1 quarter more will give me 5 pieces. I can give each one of the guests one of those 5 pieces. Let's go ahead and cut the whole pie into quarters. All right, here we go. I now have my whole pie cut into 4 quarters. I can serve a quarter of this whole pie to each one of 4 guests for the 5. And then I have my 1/4 more for the 5th guest. And there we have it, 5/4, 1/4 pie for each one of the 5 guests. Now let's go back and actually do the math for this problem. So we now know that when 5 guests share 1 1/4 pecan pies, each guest should get 1/4 of a whole pie. Let's go ahead and do the math and see that we get the same answer that we got when we sliced up the actual pie. This is a situation where we're taking a quantity and dividing it into a number of equal parts. So we want to take the quantity and divide by the number of parts. The quantity in this problem is the pie, and the number of parts is the same as the number of guests. Each part is like each plate that we had for each guest. How much pie did we have? That was 1 1/4 pecan pie. We need to divide that by 5, the number of guests. 1 1/4 divided by 5, I can calculate by rewriting the 1 1/4 as 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1, that's 5/4, divided by 5/1. I need to write the 1 1/4 as an improper fraction, and I need to write the 5 as 5/1. Now, I'll apply my rule for division of fractions. I recopy the first, 5/4, and multiply by the reciprocal of the second. I flip the second fraction around and write it as 1/5. Here I see that the 5's will cancel, and I'm left with just 1/4. There's our 1/4. Now that represents 1/4 of a pie for each guest. And now that we did all the work for this problem, I'm going to go ahead and enjoy some of this pecan pie.